afternoon of the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we have decided to go with a little bit more Superman action here in a comic from the early 2000s, Superman Birthright, one that I know that Ryan's talked about many a times before, but I technically have never read till now. But we busted out this big old 12-issue epic and went through the whole thing again, and it's a pretty fun, interesting read with some kind of unique takes on the classic characters and so on, coming from Mark Waid, who has done all sorts of different characters throughout the years, both in Marvel and DC, and then just having that early 2000s artwork in there and so on like that, which you could always kind of tell, like, it's like comic books are like that way that, like, a lot of times you see the artwork and go, I can kind of guess when this decade is that this takes place and so on like that,
Like, I can't explain what it is about but a lot of the art styles you see in early 2000s, but like it's how do I put it? Because a lot of the image people, a lot of people in the 90s had jobs by then and whatnot, and the artist Leinil Francis Yu, I'm not sure how long he's been in the game. I know I've had some other books by him because I recognize his art style, but at the exact same time, there's just something about like that early 2000s art style, because like I feel like in 2010 that's where they started getting more inspiration for like indie comics, and like a lot of Marvel and DC books started to look more like indie comics. You know what I mean? Where 90s
I know what you mean.
looked, it was kind of like, I guess at the time it was sort of not, it was maybe kind of indie, but everyone was just really jacked and muscly and trying to look like an Image comic. Even though a lot of the guys at Image started at Marvel or DC.
Yeah, no, things are very kind of imagey and so on like that, and that's not a bad thing. I actually think that realistically, the 2000s might be my primetime favorite era of comic books. Don't get me wrong, I like them from all eras, but I think that like comic books are super dialed in the 2000s.
Yeah, well, I think there's also, like, I'm not saying like tragedy makes for great art, but I mean at the same time, like, I think that 9/11 really had a big effect on a lot of comics then, even though if I didn't realize it. Most obvious one is probably, say, the Ultimates with Marvel.
Yeah, 9/11.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a hero could save us. A little bit of that, yeah. But like, what was I gonna? Shit, I got Nickelback on the mind now.
Spider-Man was swinging through the city in like that trailer, and he fucking rips the mask off, and it's like Chad Kroeger, and he's like swinging his hair through the air.
Mm-hmm.
You just hear like the audience is like, oh,
front of the Canadian flag, yeah.
Gets caught in it. Fucking real Spider-Man comes swinging down.
Canadian Spider-Man just swinging among trees, no buildings anywhere, just trees. Yeah. Is that fucking Tarzan? No, man, it's Canadian Spider-Man.
He's going over moose and everything like that. The Mountie salutes him as he goes by.
So the lumberjacks, the moose's bow.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking Simba or some shit, what was I gonna say? No,
there was the rest of Nickelback standing there with their arms crossed, like, fuck, man. Like, he just goes off and does his own solo thing, gets all this fucking credit, fucking asshole.
And then, like, the guy from Saliva, I don't remember his name, who's in that song too. He's just, for some reason, he's dressed as Robin, just like Mountie Robin, like down below, just trying to keep up. Like, wait for me, Chad, wait up. I know it's Marvel, I know it's DC, but I don't know, just something about that's funnier to me.
I know exactly.
He's just a Mountie.
I want some of that Nickelback money and that Nickelback pussy.
Well, I mean, you're not going to get one or the other.
You're not going to get that the same. That's all Chad. Believe me, you can ask the rest of Nickelback. That's all Chad.
My name's Chad. It just kind of flows in.
Those chicks stand there in line. They're going to get Chad tonight.
Get chatted, yeah. No, no, but
they're
anyway.
becoming maple syrup by the time they're done. Hey, any of you kids read Superman Birthright?
Oh, Canada. Yeah, no, I have a Canadian coworker who's like, "Oh, you do a podcast? I'll have to check that out." Now this is gonna be the first episode he's gonna listen to. So
it's like very, very. It makes sense. That's all factual stuff.
Well, he says, yeah, hey, you got it down. Yeah. There's Canadian albums that never came to you guys because it's just too Canadian. You're not ready for them, or Nickelback albums. Yeah. No. Well, going off Birthright for a minute. Because you can kind of look at a lot of stuff then, and you didn't realize it maybe at the time because you're just living it. Sometimes you're not always thinking about what inspires what. But even going off this kind of had some of that, like, it's not that long after it came out, like I think 2002 or 2003. So it kind of had some.
It ran from 3 to 4.
Okay, so it had kind of like that, somewhat of like post 9/11 kind of undertones to it, with like the thing with the security of the city to prevent terror attacks with the helicopters and whatnot, and just the fear of the other, which is always a big relevant thing in Superman, especially when Lex Luthor's the main villain. Yeah, and I actually, before we get into the book, I don't mean to like slow it down for people who clicked on, I want to hear about Birthright, but the first time I read this book, actually, I had it sitting on my stack for a while. It was a long time ago I read it. I actually only read this book once. This is the second time I've actually picked it up again. And Mark Waid, he's one of those guys where, I don't know if I call him like I think he's might be one of my favorite writers, but the thing is, like, he has like one of my favorite books. He has Kingdom Come, but everything else, if I pick up a Mark Waid book, I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to be solid. I can't think of that many books that I just go back to over and over. But every time I pick up a Mark Waid book, it's always good. He always nails it, And reading this one again, I like it. Even though I liked it when the first time I read it, I liked it way more the second time. And the first time I read this book, it was actually back when I lived in Sonora still. We had a big snowstorm, and you actually stayed over at my place because you worked not too far from where I lived. And it was
this is the one where like we had to go, your brother wanted us to go rescue him, and we literally walk out, it's fucking blizzard coming down, and we stand outside at like, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night, and we just watch this tree just fall over in the front yard. You're like, yeah, we're going back in.
No, even then I was like, well, maybe. My brother called for help. He's like, well, you have a Subaru Outback, so you have like the magical 4-wheel drive car that can do like backflips to the snow. I'm like, well, it can handle in the snow, but I mean,
it's all-wheel drive.
This shit's like 1.5 feet by now. I mean, come the fuck on. How the fuck am I getting back up this hill? Even, I'm like, well, let me just see, and it was just doing this shit, just if people could watch and could see, just like in place, like, we're going nowhere. Sorry, man, you're on your own. You got to figure that out. Anyway, next day you leave, and because you have to go to work, and a lot of it melted by then. And then I'm like, at this time, this is a period. I had like the house to myself because this is the time I lived at home still, and my parents were on vacation, and I had the house to myself. And then a big power outage. I'm like, whatever, fuck it. I can read books in the dark. I got a candle. I got a dog. I'll be fine, And then the next day, my brother, his girlfriend, and their 2 kids come over and decide to like, we're going to keep you company. And like, it was just like, oh, you don't have to. Oh, power outages everywhere. This house is a lot bigger, just like, okay. So a lot of it was just like, like the kids.
I was looking for some peace and quiet, and it's all gone now.
The kids are bored because there's no power, and then it just becomes like me, like in a dimly lit room, like in like with a candle, like reading this book, among a bunch of other comic books, a couple other Superman books actually, but just reading this book, like, the door cracks open. I don't want to be disturbed. What is it you need? Just like spare bedroom, fucking like wooden, like old school antique wooden chair, corner, candle, like reading Superman Birthright, like I'm fucking like I'm like I'm like Ebenezer Scrooge, like the first ghost shows up, like, fuck off, I'm reading Superman.
You got like a little like cup of scotch right next to you and everything. For some reason, I don't know why I pictured you wearing like an old timey dress. I don't know, like just like fucking weird. Like it looks like why is he wearing a dress? It's like I wanted to get into the mood. Like, should you be wearing a suit? Like, this is all there was here.
Why would I
stay away?
Like an old like like 1800s like sleep gown with like one of the like Santa Claus hat things, sure, but like.
Be like, is this why Ryan wanted to be a Home Alone? Is just to dress in his weird 1800s like Victorian lady clothes and read Superman books?
Come with like a candlestick on a holder, just like, like who goes there?
Searching around, who invades my privacy? I know where you are.
Can a man read Mark Waid in peace? God damn it! I look at the dogs, like, find them and kill them, and go back to like,
release the hounds.
Exactly. I feel like I was giving off Mr. Burns vibes because you're just looking forward to some time to alone. So that was my first time reading this book. And then since we saw Superman not so long ago, I've had Superman on the mind a lot lately because I really liked that movie. And I'm just like, you know what? It's been some time since I read this. And then I started reading it. I'm like, maybe this would be fun for the podcast. So here we are. First time I read this book, probably like in, God, like maybe close to 20 years, like 15 years or something like that.
Well, I noticed that happens with me a lot, where there'll be certain books I just remember from reading back in the 2000s, and then you're like, man, it's been so long, let's pull that back out again. And for me, this is the first time. It's like, I've known about this one for a while, and sometimes it's like that thing that sometimes you can't remember if you did read something or not, but it was like, okay, no, I've never read this one before. So I picked this bad boy up and went through it, and overall generally really enjoyed it and so on like that. One thing I did find really funny right off the bat is it's like literally it's called Superman Birthright, and about like after you get past the like the classic, this is Superman, here's his parents, they're sending him off, planet Krypton's gonna blow up, son, go out and be free, and so on, and then it goes like it cuts like 25 years ahead, and once again remember the title Superman Birthright, and all of a sudden this is the first picture I see on there. It's Superman or Clark Kent just pushing this poor black guy out of the way, out of context. You have no idea what's going on. It looks like he's using his birthrights to get to the front of the line at like fucking Baskin Robbins or something like that. You realize later he's saving him and that's his buddy, but it's just our first glance. All the way! Space Jew coming through!
Oh my God, you guys have any of the sparkling banner cake ice cream left? Oh my God, please tell me you have that.
Exactly. Then you just realize it's kind of cool. It just starts off as like, no, this is just Clark Kent. He's not Superman yet, but he's just like barely became a reporter and so on like that, and he's trying to figure out his way in the world. And he's over in Africa right now doing some investigating journalism.
Something I'll say it's interesting just about the inspirations this book kind of like stems from, because I could see Man of Steel in this as well as the new Superman that came out. And it's kind of interesting what two drastically different movies can pull from the same source material and the things they choose to focus on.
Yeah, no, because when I was reading this, it was like, it almost felt like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the new Superman, of course, but like, I feel this book and All-Star Superman felt like you could say those were probably like the two big influences that creates that movie. Of course, there's a bunch of other stuff in there too once you include the other characters, but just the core, I think there's a lot there. And strange enough, this was one of those ones, if you kind of describe this to somebody, be like, what's the story about? Well, it's just a Superman and Lex Luthor book, and that's kind of about it. Like it sounds simple, but it's like, no. Wait till they get in depth in it, because then it adds a lot of like extra nuances and underlining details and so on. It does seem like it's just kind of a simple, like, here's another retelling Superman. You know the guy, right? Well, just in case you don't, here he is getting launched off from space again. Which, granted, in the 2000s, I will say once again, that is that era though where I think comic books kind of hit like another like high stride. Double downing from like both the movies, but there was just a lot of like great superhero like tie-ins. That was when there was a lot of good superhero video games. Then you would have some of the animated shows and so on. And then I felt like it was kind of a renaissance of comics. Like people were kind of getting into comics once again. If they kind of faded out a little bit in the 90s, they were back pretty darn strong in that 2000s. So you did have to do a little bit of like, for a lot of people, this could have been their first Superman book.
I didn't read this comic till probably like 2013 or 2012, somewhere around there. Maybe whatever, somewhere in that area. But I jumped on comics around the time this book came out. I jumped on comics 2005 after seeing Batman Begins. That's where I decided to jump on comics. And so a lot of my favorite comics are from around that time. And the thing that's interesting about this book, you're right, because on paper you say, well, it's Superman's introduction. The villain is Lex Luthor, and he meets Lois Lane. He works the Daily Planet. Like, I've seen this. I've read this. I get it. But like, oh, actually, the characterization is pretty good, and the things they choose to focus on are pretty good. And it also, like, if you were to, like, say, adapt this into a movie, I think by this point we have seen a version of this a little too many times for now. I think you take parts of this, but if you were to go to, like, 1-to-1, it's not that this is a bad one to go off of. It's that this has been made a lot by this point, but for good reason, because this is a very good version of the story. And I think it's interesting because it really does, and I mean this in the best way. It really does almost feel like somewhat, to an extent, kind of like an updated version of the first Christopher Reeves, Richard Donner Superman movie, to an extent, because, but they kind of use different things. Like, something I think is interesting is, of course, a big deal in the beginning is, you see Krypton, we see Krypton blowing up, all that shit. And then we jump ahead and then, change it up rather than the Kansas life. We learn he's from Kansas and all that, but he's already like an independent investigative journalist. And he's in Africa, and he's looking into this revolutionary new politician who's fighting for people's rights, who's like, a kind of an underclass citizen trying to like make things happen. And there's this moment where, in the original, he's like, I have all these powers. Like in the movie, he's like, I have all these powers, but I couldn't save Pa. Where in this, it's like, this guy doesn't have any powers, and look at how much he got done before he got assassinated by like his political rival.
Yeah, because and then that's what he's sort of looking at, is like the power of almost like without having to rely on your superpowers, like what can you get done, and that's almost maybe the theme of this whole book is just the fact of like, what is power in a sense, like what are the things that you can do, even if it's not just your Superman powers. There's other things way beyond that will make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I do want to say, looking at this book, some of the pictures they have, like there's the whole like Jor-El and Lara opening, and they're putting him into the spaceship, and I know he's just a baby. He's just a baby. He doesn't really know what he's doing, but when they put him in there, they have his thumb in kind of like hand in kind of like a thumb type position, and he's a baby, so he's confused, he's scared, doesn't know what's going on. Like, goodbye, like it looks like they're putting him in there. Like, you good? He's like, oh,
thumbs
sure.
up.
Oh, as fucking good as I can be. Like, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the
sure,
thumbs up.
We'll fucking see, I guess. We'll fucking see. Like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Oh God.
No, that's the one thing I will say is there is some really hilarious artwork in this book. Like, I don't know what it is. There's just some facial expressions that like they're just drawn in here that like I busted up laughing. Like, I don't even know if it's supposed to be intentionally. It's just the way that it's drawn just makes me laugh. There's a couple. They
go extreme on some of the facial expressions, but it's not that they're bad or they're ugly. It's just they're like intense.
Yeah, they're like highly detailed. Just like, no, it's actually really good art. It's just the fact that like they're so detailed and so like to the point that sometimes it just looks kind of like funny. Not funny isn't bad, just funny like I love the tone that like came across in it.
Now, something, not the whole way. Last time I was on, we talked about Superman and Fantastic Four, and I talked a little bit about how I didn't really like Kevin Costner's interpretation in Man of Steel. But in this book, when he goes back home and visits Ma and Pa Kent, for a minute, Pa is going through a little bit of a Kevin Costner phase. So it's like I can kind of see like Zack Snyder reading this book or David Goyer reading this book and being like, okay, yeah, let's go with like this kind of version of Pa Kent. But he has his come around, right? No, he doesn't. But like, because this one he has a thing like, what's this? You're going around in like a dress, gonna save some people from like cats and trees. Oh, that's good for you, I guess. Gonna do whatever your real parents want you to do. Who gives a shit? I fucking raised you your whole fucking life. Not like I fucking did anything. You know, just like walking into the other room.
Yeah, where the fuck was Jor-El? Yeah, you wasn't fucking here. I didn't see Jor-El taking you to school every fucking day. I didn't see Jor-El out there on the farm, fucking pushing the fields down, fucking milking the cows and shit. Jor-El, like, Dad, I get it. You don't have to say Jor-El every time. Yeah, well, where the fuck was Jor-El? Yeah, you fucking dead, right? Well, it's good. It's just, I do like they give Ma and Pa Kent like kind of a completely different like take in this one. You know, I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just different. They're a little bit younger. What they actually remind me a lot of is and it's just because I reread Ultimate Spider-Man recently, but it's literally Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Like the way that they are in that one, they actually kind of
they're hippies. Sort of, Ultimate Spider-Man.
They're just kind of like they're kind of old hippies. You know, almost beatniky and so on. You know, because like Spider-Man, they're definitely a lot more than they're not as hippie, these ones, but like it's kind of a little bit different tone. And how like Ma Kent, she's like, yeah, she's kind of she kind of has this old kind of hippie look to her and so on, and she's always on the computer, and it actually makes kind of logical sense. She's like really heavily into conspiracies and UFOs. Her son, probably that thing where she probably never was into that until this spaceship come crashing down in their farm, and that kind of changed her life. But since then, now she's really into computers and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the story kind of goes on that, like, yeah, she's kind of like talking back and forth, you know, to Superman and so on like that, but they all kind of like do it like through encrypted messages and so on. Like she's really kind of tech savvy, which is just a different kind of one like that, you know. But that kind of sometimes happens where people will be out in the farmlands and so on like that, but then they get really into their computers as like their secondary hobby.
They got the time for it, right?
Yeah, they got the time. Well, except for fucking Pa Kent's
except for
like,
farming. Pa's probably doing the farming.
I'm out there doing the fucking farming all day long, and fucking she's
like
in there.
Jor-El.
Fucking Jor-El ain't down here. What? Oh, little Billy, fucking, he should have died in that bus going over. I mean, like, why'd you save him? I fucking hated that kid. He used to come on by. I'd see him. He'd steal a fucking corn. He'd be pissing on the fucking plants and everything like that. One time, he was trying to start a goddamn fucking fire. You know, shit, I think if he drowned, I think the world would be a better place. I'm just saying.
Last time he was here, but before he even got to the door, I grabbed your BB gun and I shot at him. That little fucker's lucky though, because I didn't realize it was your BB gun. I thought it was my gun.
You know, and I know how much you could pump that thing up. You know, I could probably get about a good 20 pumps on it, but I've seen you go. You pumped it like 75 times. That BB would have pierced through that kid's whole body. Literally went around the world once and came back and got him again.
If you see him at school limping, you know why, all right? Tell him he got off lucky. He's lucky I was fucking drunk, all right?
Yeah, because if he would have caught me sober, he would have been fucking dead. I would have buried him in the back fucking yard. You know, I would have given him that piece of corn. I would have lit it on fire and lit his fucking body on fire. Okay, Dad, you know, I think that's fine. He's not that bad of a kid. I mean, he's a little bit of a, you know, a torrent and so on like that. But come on, man. Like, hello.
Shut the fuck up. Fox News is on.
You should have fucking let him drown on that bus going over the bridge. That's just, I think that's all I'm fucking saying. Fucking Jor-El didn't do shit, did he?
That is kind of Pa Kent for the first part of this book, really. He is kind of like, just like, hey, son, welcome back. Like, oh, hey, Dad, I think I'm going to go save the world. I think I want to do the superhero shit and, like, try to, like, find my ancestry and all this kind of shit. Like, oh, fucking Jor-El. I know, Dad, Jor-El. Yeah, I know. So then, like, because the thing is, he was given a tablet with all his people's history, but he doesn't understand the language. He doesn't understand the text, but he has all these images of what Kryptonians are and all that. So it's like, okay. So he has some kind of minor connection. He sees like the S crest everywhere. So, and then I do like how one day Jonathan Kent's like, well, Martha and Clark are putting the thing together. He comes in with like a baseball bat, like, don't mind me, fuck you, and starts like going AWOL on like the spaceship, and then like causes like the farm to almost collapse in on him, and then like Clark has to like, it's nothing wrong. It's one of those things. Positioning, I get it, but it's got to feel so like emasculating to first off get picked up by your son, but then get picked up like under the arms, like you're an infant, and be held in the sky. Like, God damn it, put me down. Like, Dad, like, you don't hold me like I'm a goddamn baby. Drop me so I can fucking die.
Plus, I gotta say this, in that one, he's literally wearing this baseball cap that says like Jeff's veal on it, and it has a picture of a cow that's got a pacifier on it and a little baby bonnet on. It's like, what the fuck kind of thing?
I missed that.
I like them young and fresh. You know what I mean? I want them to still have their innocence in when I bite into that flesh.
Oh my God, it does. That's so fucked up. Jeff's veal.
Just a picture of it there.
Because I saw that at a distance, okay, veal, whatever. And then I got a close up of it when he's like getting ready to like, time to go Mario and Donkey Kong on this motherfucker, you know. And all of a sudden, like he just like get that close up. He's like contemplating. He's like, I'm gonna get me some fucking veal after this.
This is my smash it hat. And she's like, whoa, Dad, what the fuck?
I wonder.
You literally tore this whole fucking barn down.
I wonder if that in some way, because that's a very particular way to spell Jeff. I wonder if that's a particular like dig or like inside joke at Jeff Johns.
It might be, because that's how Jeff spells his name, you know.
Yeah. He actually
the original way of spelling Jeff is that way, but it just seemed kind of goofiest in American. It
seemed old Englishy.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones.
Like putting E at the end of shop kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, or double L's for Lloyd.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is dark. That is
it's
dark.
like it really adds a lot in there. Like fucking Pa Kent in this one.
The only time he's happy is going over to Jeff's veal. He's like, don't worry, I got the air hammer. Just like skips right on in. Like, where you go, little fella? Bam.
You know, it's just like one of those places where you get to pick your own lobster out. Well, I got to pick my own veal out.
Oh.
But then fucking Clark's like, yo, Pa, calm the fuck down.
It was also just, I'm sorry, I mean to say focus on this. I mean, veal is, from what I know, I've had it once, and not because I had it once. I didn't know what it was until after. So, once I knew that I committed a crime, it was too late. It was like when I had it, it was like a 5-course meal. It was already preset, and I'm like, well, it's already here. Fuck, okay, you know. I didn't really, you know, it was one of those kind of things. But as far as I know, it's usually a more expensive thing. Not something I expect, you know, the Kents to go out and get too often. Like, you know, I'm gonna get, it's that time of month, I'm getting me some fucking veal. Just, you know, like bring it to me live.
Kent goes out. He goes out by himself to get this. This is his alone time.
Yeah.
There's a place in town that like you don't bring the wife or kids.
You just bring your hands. That's all you bring with you.
We don't use utensils. We don't have anyone looking over us or someone like that, judging our character. Fucking Jor-El looking down at me. Fucking asshole.
From space.
I hear that name one goddamn more time.
You think you're the one saying it the most, Pa? Yeah.
I don't think anybody else actually even brings it up. In fact, nobody even knew that was his name. You happen to fucking translate it from the fucking text here.
And then after he saves him and holds his own father up like he's a fucking infant, like, Dad, what are you doing? Like, God damn it, put me down, you know. He kind of has this moment like, I'm sorry.
Get my fucking veal hand. That's my good luck hand.
Well, it's like it goes to this whole thing like, I'm sorry. I like, you know, it's like, oh, you don't understand. Your grandpa was a fucking dick and gave your dad some self-esteem issues, and he thinks he has to kind of live up to that, and he just wants the best for you, and now he's going to be supportive. Like, yeah, I'm going to be supportive. Okay, cool. Thanks, Dad. And then they do the whole thing where they're helping create the Clark, because by this point, you know, when you think Clark Kent, people like, there's really 3 Clark Kents. There's like well, there's Superman, there's Clark Kent, and then there's Metropolis Clark Kent, like buffoonish, fumbling Clark Kent.
Where he just looks like an oversized puppy kind of walking around, slipping on everything, but somehow happens to always fall right in the right place, you know. And I feel like that because it's like that Clark Kent, like, well, he's always been kind of there, you know, throughout time, because even like in, you know, older interpretations and so on. But I felt like they've added more to that character throughout the years and so on, where it's like I like that, like, you know, like a lot of the versions, it's like, you know, he tries to make, because, you know, that was always the joke for the longest time. So he just has the glasses on, like what, people can't fucking do, like, tell the difference. But it's like, no, like, because he's Superman, he's able to, like, really, like, dial it in. So, like, he's got his big muscular body. Well, he can kind of blow it out, so he almost looks like he's more just like an overgrown, like, you know, like computer hacker kind of guy, you know, and he's very clumsy, and his hair's just a total mess and so on like that. And, you know, he's even able to, like, blow out his features, so he's not, like, all chiseled like Superman and so on like that.
And they even do the thing where, like, as he's trying on different outfits, his mom's like, I can see your six-pack through that shirt. You're gonna get eyes on you, and maybe the way you want it, but not the way in this context. Like, so here, wear this sweater vest, wear another sweater vest, wear this sweater with this collared shirt under it, work this jacket, work on your posture, you know, kind of like, otherwise you're gonna stand out like a sore thumb. And yeah, I can believe it. I mean, plus, you know, they have the whole thing with the hypno glasses, which is a thing that was in the comics, but at the same time, just the idea of, like, you know, you look kind of like Superman. I think that works too, you know, especially if he really, like, it's just his personality. Because you look at Christopher Reeves and then you look at, like, Clark Kent, Superman and Clark Kent and Christopher Reeves, you're like, I can see how he tricks that many people. I mean, shit, there's a meme I saw a little bit ago where it said, like, I can believe someone could not know Clark Kent is Superman. It showed a picture of Zooey Deschanel with bangs and glasses, and then, like, shorter hair, no glasses. So, like, oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah, you know, you could definitely change it up and so on like that. And I think this one does a good job about it with a lot of the things there. Even with the fact that, like, you know, yeah, he puts on, like, his mom's glasses or whatnot that have, like, a real thick prescription, but she's like, well, you can fucking see through them. Like, Mom, should I just get, like, some, like, you know, regular, like, you know, just, like, non-prescription glasses, you know, something that's not going to fuck up my vision over time? No, honey, we don't have that kind of insurance. You take my old pair. Shit, I gotta be upgrading my computer to, like, Windows XP soon, so yeah. I don't got time to be buying you glasses, you know. Go to Metropolis.
When he goes to Metropolis and he's doing his interview, and there's a whole part where he's being interviewed by Perry. I do think that's actually an interesting part, because it's, you know, he's like, hey man, so I'm just, you know, I really want to do some, like, journalism, and I think I can do good. Like, yeah, I saw what you wrote. That was pretty good, but I mean, everything right now tells me you don't have the balls or the spine to do what we need to do, because we don't pull our punches. We go after, like, the big wigs. We go after, like, Lex Luthor if we have to. And then he says, like, he stands up straight. He says, like, sir, I wish to work, you know, just, like, full on, like, my captain, you know, and then like, oh, he does have some balls, you know, and then all of a sudden he realizes, oh, he's on to me. And then, yeah, I like balls. Very much so. Like, oh, okay, that's good, Mr. Perry. That's good, Mr. White. Like, oh, this is that kind of interview. Oh, fuck. All right, well, you know.
Oh, he's gonna fucking Harvey Weinstein me. He just fucking grows up and grabs him by the crotch.
Well, you know, I got nothing funny for that. Just like, well, it's what it is, I guess. Shit.
You know, I'll say that because there's also the other, like, the head boss that owns the Daily Planet, who they show beforehand, who just comes in there. And it's like, when Clark first sees it, he's like literally fucking tearing a new asshole into Jimmy Olsen. He's like smashed him over the head. He's like, you brought me a fucking strawberry bagel. I didn't want a fucking strawberry bagel. I wanted a fucking marmalade one, you stupid ginger fuck. And then Lois Lane kind of appears. It's the first time Lois appears. She's like, yo, you don't call him a ginger fuck. He has a name.
I like the part.
What's his name, Lois? What's his name? Well, I don't know what that fucking is, but he's got one.
He knows it, I think. No, I think that, no, she's like, his name is Jimmy. It's Jim. Jimmy, shut up. Just kind of like corrects him. There is a point. I started listening to this podcast, Superman podcast called "Digging for Kryptonite," and they actually had getting ready for this episode. I listened to an episode where they actually interviewed Mark Waid on this book, and he made a point that like he took this from I think the radio play where everyone at the Daily Planet calls Jimmy Jimmy except Clark. Clark is the one that calls him Jim.
Mm-hmm.
As a thing,
I like that.
I see it. I see you. I respect you, kind of thing.
Well, and I just feel that seems like that would be a much more Clark thing because Jimmy's kind of that one. It's kind of like a hip nickname type thing. And I like there's even a line. It's a lot farther in this book, but like, he goes like, Clark actually calls me Jim. Or no, he goes like, hey Lois, call me Jim. And she goes, what? Is that what Clark calls you? And he's like, yeah, he has some respect. He calls me Jim. And she just goes, that's adorable, and keeps going back to her work.
Well, it's all like he says, "Get me this," and then like he just stands there. She looks at him, and he leaves. Like, "Thank you," like the way she says, like she's like I can't really emphasize the way she says it.
Emphasize it the way it's written in the word bubble, and so on. You
like YEW kind of way, yeah. But no, I like this part where he proves himself to Perry White, and then all of a sudden, to prove that to keep up the illusion, he like intentionally knocks over some pencils, like, oh fuck, and then Perry's like, all right, fine, all right, okay.
He's like, just get out of my hair before you break my whole room,
before you knock over my like scuba suit.
Yeah, dude, I always think about that too. That scuba suit is so prominently drawn in there. I don't know if the artist is like, yo, let me have this. I've always wanted to draw a fucking
that's actually from like I think like an old Superman serial or something.
Oh, is it where there's just always a scuba suit in there? That makes sense then.
That's what Mark Waid said in the episode I was listening to.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because that's what I was kind of wondering. It was like one of those ones like that thing's so prominent it has to have a major reason why.
There's gonna be it's like Chekhov's gun. There's like a moment where someone's gonna like need that to go like somewhere or whatever to be protected or something. But no, it's just kind of there. It's just a homage to like his office and older iteration.
Mm-hmm. Is that the old Superman serials from like the ones with what's his name, George Reeves?
I think that either that or like an old cartoon, one or the other.
Yeah.
And then like they get attacked by the helicopters, and the helicopters have like this AI thing like just going wild, and we get our first situation where Superman is saving the day, and he quickly just handles all the helicopters and then figures out that like, oh, it's Lex Luthor. I don't think we need to go into all the details of like he figures out that this guy's working for this. This one actually does do a little bit of journalism, because sometimes journalism's never the first thing in Superman, but I do feel like, and I know this because my wife's a journalist, so sometimes she says it wouldn't work out like that. Yeah, it would not be accredited. That would be like, okay, I get it, and she doesn't ruin it. She actually really likes Superman, so it doesn't ruin it for her. But
it's not like those people that like will talk about like, I don't know. I always think about when they see some things in like movies and go, that's not how it really goes. I'm like, yeah, but here, let me tell you how storytelling goes, because that's how it works. Like the example I always use is like when people bitch about Backdraft, how they're not wearing masks in there. And it's like, yeah, you know why they don't wear fucking masks in there? Because it's a movie and you need to see who the character is. That's why in Gears of War they don't wear helmets either. And it's even brought up in there by Carmine. And guess what? He gets fucking shot and dies.
No helmets, kids. Remember that.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking safety, get that out the fucking front door, But,
individualism is more important than your safety. Yeah, always remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. If those fucking aliens up there don't know who you are, then it ain't fucking worth it. You know what I mean? If they can't go back home to their fucking journalist wives and fucking write a story about what I just did to their fucking kids, blasting my way through, fuck you, you goddamn locust. You know what I mean? Like, I want them to get my name fucking right. I want that damn credit. I don't want to be like Carmine, where nobody fucking remembers his fucking name, and then they bring out his cousin, and we like. Well, except for me. I mean, I remember him because I'm a nice fucking guy. That's why I remember him.
I remember his first name because fuck him. I don't like him that much, Well, it's like they don't go through all the. I like how in the new movie. And it was almost kind of the thing. They just kind of brought what's his name? Brought Luthor down, and in this, the journalism is a little bit of a bigger part. Like I think in the new movie, it's kind of more secondary. It's kind of tacked on at the end as the fool around. But it's a little bit more prominent. And and ask her to read it and tell me, is this how it would work? But at the same time, like they do bring up things. They do bring up things like this. This isn't. There's not enough fact. This is a hunch. This is that. That there's a like, which is a case you hear a lot of times where it's like, yeah, you have to say allegedly because technically there is, even though it's blatantly obvious, there is no actual proof. So in paper, you have to say allegedly or whatever. But then like this right here, and he approaches Luthor. He says like, man, you've sure changed, Luthor. Remember when we were kids in Small? He didn't say we were kids in Smallville, but like at some point he mentioned like, you know, his time with Luthor in Smallville to his mom or his dad. Like, I always hated that fucking kid, you know.
Is that the one that fucking was supposed to die in the bus that went over? No, Dad, that wasn't the one. Oh, well, I don't know. He probably should have fucking died too. Let's just be honest. I don't think I liked any of the kids you went to school with.
Where's the whole
class? What was that fat kid's name too that he used to come over here and always clog the toilet?
Pete Ross?
Yeah, fuck that kid.
I do feel bad for Pete Ross.
Learn to fucking wipe.
I do feel bad for Pete Ross in the movie because he's just like the dopey like fat kid on the bus, and then like later he's like running IHOP, but then like
forgot about that.
But then
that was my favorite product placements I've ever seen. It was fucking Pete Ross running the fucking IHOP.
At some point in the comics, he's like vice president or whatever. So it's just like,
he's gone up in the world.
Yeah, so it's just, you know, they really downgraded him. But no, like Superman goes out of his way using superpowers and like hearing and vision and all that. Brink goes into Luthor and he's like, what the fuck are you? Like, what is it? You know, just kind of like he's really unfazed. And that's where like I do like this is kind of where I see a lot of in the new movie, a lot of this Lex Luthor, kind of like he's not like the pinnacle of man, but he's like the pinnacle like mind. Like he is like the smartest guy in the room, and he's also like a cutthroat fucking cunt. You know, there's like he'll do and say anything and step on anybody to get what he needs. And like this is, I think, I feel like I forgot his name. The guy who played Luthor in the new one
read this Beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Nicholas. Guy. No, I saw a lot. I agree there too. I think that this Luthor in the comic book is definitely probably the big influence for that one. Because All-Star Superman is the one where I feel like that's where you get the Lex Luthor who's both like the pinnacle of both strength and, you know, mind, kind of like mix, you know, the human like pinnacle.
That Clancy Brown from the animated series, and yes. Then depending on the writer, because sometimes depending on the writer, he's like jacked and he's like still super smart. Sometimes he's very like nebbish and kind of smaller. Sometimes he's like fat and bloated and he looks like he's kind of inspired off Donald Trump sort of. And that was kind of more in the 80s with some of the John Byrne stuff. So yeah.
And sometimes he doesn't have a Kingpin look, even like a smaller version of Kingpin, but he looks kind of like Kingpin from Spider-Man.
Well, there's a cover, and I wasn't just saying that to be political. There is a cover where
there is one, literally,
where he's made to look like, and it's from the 80s, I think, 80s or early 90s, where it's made to look like Trump's autobiography, Art of the Deal, but it's Lex Luthor. But in all honesty, I think that's an insult to fucking Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor's actually fucking smart, so you know, whatever.
He's the world's smartest man. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Or second smartest, depending if you go like which
Mr. Terrific,
Mr. Terrific or whatever. Yeah.
Well, you know, Lex Luthor, you know, he's going to always put himself ahead, and that's what he does in this book. He makes sure he gets, you know, rid of anybody in his way and so on like that. And I will say there's only one thing that I think is a little bit kind of goofy in this book, and I know that it comes from other places throughout time and they've used this before, but they do. With Superman or if Clark Kent and Lex Luthor, they pull one of these things that I always kind of refer to it as, I call it like geez, I always draw a blank on my.
I'm not sure there's a word for it, like this cul-de-sac.
Yeah, the cul-de-sac. I call it the cul-de-sac style of storytelling, where like the characters, like even though you're in a giant big world, it almost feels like they're all fucking neighbors, you know? And they do that with this one where like there's 1 year back in the day, like when they're both like 15, that for some reason Lex Luthor went to Smallville And I will say they do explain. It's not just like they just, Lex just happened to transfer in there. Because I feel like that's like a long fucking distance. Like, that's like multiple states over to bumfuck nowhere. Like, why would he be out there? Well, at least they kind of like sort of explain it so I can kind of go, oh, okay. Lex is out there forcing his dad, so he can go look for fucking kryptonite, on a fucking wild goose chase, literally. But, okay, at least they kind of write it well. But sometimes that kind of storytelling to me, I got kind of like a lot of mixed feelings about it. Like one of the worst ones I think versions that I've ever saw was in the newer 007's Inspector, when they literally made Bond and Blofeld like fucking brothers. And I remember when I saw it in the theaters, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That was literally a joke in Austin Powers 3. And even in a comedy, I didn't think that was a very good choice to do. I thought it kind of like ruined the integrity of both the characters. And now you're going to do that in a serious Bond film? Like, what the hell? Or I even think of another one is in the new Star Wars movies, like when they made Ray, like literally like, it's like, oh, instead of just being this like thing where like, yeah, your parents are gone, you're just kind of a nobody. But guess what? A nobody can fucking save the galaxy. It's like, no, guess what? Your dad's literally the most important person in like the last like 100 years in the fucking galaxy. Who is that? Yeah, fucking, Emperor Palpatine. Like, shit, everybody knows his fucking name. Like, and it's just like, boy, this giant galaxy far, far away sure seems pretty fucking small.
Yeah, it's kind of, I guess anytime you have sort of a flashback, I guess there's sequelitis, but I think in the flashback stuff, you get the prequelitis aspects, like, oh yeah, he made C-3PO or whatever, not just to stick it to Star Wars, but just that thing.
Yeah, that one, I think I agree with you. That one's kind of, there's a handful of them in there too.
Or like in Wolverine Origins, like that time Wolverine actually saved Cyclops, when he was a teenager, like that kind of shit. So it's just like, there's just all that kind of shit where it just like doesn't need to, the first few times you see it, like, whoa, what? But then it happens so much, you're like, oh, okay,
Well, it's that one that I think a lot of people think that they're being really creative with their writing when they do it, and it probably sounds great, like, at first, when you're all, like, hopped up, and you're like, oh, what the fuck, great idea. What? But I think as time goes on, it feels like it's a little bit kind of goofy. I mean, I'll say there's some ones that are decent. This is a perfect example of the one that doesn't bother me as much, is Metal Gear Solid, because a lot of those fucking characters are all somehow, some way, like, fucking interconnected in that game. Strangely, I feel like it works. It's war. They're on the battlefield. Like they're gonna cross paths a little bit more easier than everybody else. It's not like they're fucking galaxies away or like even states away. You know what I mean? Because that one, it's like, okay, well, I mean, Snake and Liquid being brothers, whatever. That's the one. But then of course you have Naomi, and she's like, oh yeah, fucking like Gray Fox was my adopted older brother, and that ties me into you, and so on, and a lot of those things intermingle and so on, but. Yeah, I feel like there's a time and a place. I don't know. In this Superman Birthright one, even though it's like I still like a lot of the stuff that came out of it. It's just there's just that little bit. It's like, I don't know. I like the idea that Superman doesn't know who the fuck Lex Luthor is until he kind of gets there. But I will say the origin shit of Lex Luthor I think is very interesting, and the way he kind of goes about and how he is just this like 15-year-old kid who like is 15 times more smarter than anybody else around him, and he's a total ass to everybody, and about the only person who's kind of nice is Clark. And I even remember being a kid, like knowing people that were like this, where like you kind of like, I'd be like the nice ones, so you'd be kind of friends with it, but like there are those people that are like almost so nerdy that they're almost kind of like dicks about it, like, and maybe you crack a joke and they go, that's not fucking true. Yeah, you know what I mean? So like, when I saw the relationship between Clark and like him just trying to be cool and fun and hang out and so on like this, and just fucking Lex being a dick to his parents and everything like that, I'm like, I feel like I've seen those kids before growing up, where they were those, they just didn't, those personalities that like you had to intermingle with.
Well, the part where he just kind of goes in like, their TV is old. They was old tube technology. I'm surprised you sell this ninth generation television. Like, yeah, okay, well, what's this kid's fucking problem or whatever, then all of a sudden, like, they like, hey, Dad, this is my friend Lex, and he just goes like, is this a cow titty milker? Let me get a look at this. He just turns it on. Yeah, I made it more efficient, like, starts freaking out. The cows are freaking out, like, no, that's my veal, and then, like, and, like, he, like, runs out of the, out into, like, the fucking field, and he's just like, yeah, like, Lex, my dad didn't mean to yell at you. He was just stressed out because it was so loud in there. He's like, hey, that fucking kid. Like, no, he just
hope he fucking dies on that bus later on.
And then like But yeah, but no, there's this interesting thing. Well, there was even like some of the small things, like when like Clark and Lex, they started like talking about like, astronomy and all that, and he gets out a telescope and he's looking, and he says like, you're actually 6 degrees, and he goes 6 degrees southwest or whatever. Then he looks up and he sees there's like an astrology book or astronomy book on the bookshelf. He's like, okay. Then like takes his advice. Like just small things kind of like that. Like, okay, all right, he's not a complete fucking idiot. He's not correct. I don't have to like dress him down right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's almost a little bit of respect, not a lot, but just enough, and even though it's literally Clark does kind of like everything for fucking Lex, and he really does like nothing back, the whole time.
They just like talking space, and they're both into aliens, and he wants to like, I want to be friends with an alien. I think only an alien could understand me. He's like, yeah. Oh yeah, maybe an alien can understand you. Okay, cool. And then, then like the day he's gonna go over and tell him like, dude, guess what? I'm an alien. Then she's like, dude, check this shit out. I'm making like this thing that can look into galaxies and like project, like look through their technology to see what they're doing. Check this shit out. And also I found this crazy like meteorite thing. And then all of a sudden he like gets like sick because it's kryptonite. He's never seen kryptonite before. He's like, oh, you think I'm a fucking freak? Like, no, it's a kryptonite. You think I'm fucking weird? No. You're looking at me the way everyone looks at me when I play Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, no, and like kicks him the fuck out. That's of course when like the barn explodes, and Clark is too weak to save him because of the kryptonite.
Yeah, and it blasts him far away, and it kills fucking Lex's dad, who you've only seen like twice. His dad appears there like once, where he's like, oh yeah, there's the boy, he's out and about. I don't know. Until he makes me $1 million, I don't give a flying fuck.
They did make him look like the dad out of Smallville, which I'm not sure if they cast that guy around that or if that was coincidental or yeah.
It might have been that. Sometimes when like two things come out at the same time, they kind of like to make them kind of feel like make them fit a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
Yeah. Also, like I do think there's a little bit of loss up because that's where he's in that explosion, because this is actually kind of modeled after the whole thing about them growing up together. I know I prefer they didn't, but at the same time that's actually from like something in the 70s, and Superman back when he was Superboy, back when that was in the continuity, actually created Lex Luthor because he was a scientist. Like, I created life, and then like they make it out to be like, oh, Superman blew his hair away. But like, no, he blew out a fire, and that also happened to be like destroy the life he created or whatever, the matter of life. And then along with his hair, he's like, damn you, Superman, you have a mortal Superboy, you have a mortal enemy now. Like, okay, there's like I think maybe by then that was, I don't know if that was 70s or not, but anyway, so that's what they're kind of pulling from. Like, let's make it more dramatic, let's update that a bit, and then from there, I
just love how he's just pissed because it's like he's like, he blew my hair away. Like from this point on, this means war.
I do like, well, this is also, there was a point where like Lex Luthor was just like a conniving little fuck, like, Superman, I stole 40 cakes from the orphanage. What are you going to do about it? It's that kind of shit. So, which I think I can kind of see him doing something like that, but just out of petty and spite. Just to like fuck with him, not to be like, this is my scheme of the day. And he gets into like, a big purple and green like helicopter, like with like the cakes hanging by like a fucking rope or whatever,
He fucking takes the helicopter off and crashes it right into like the fucking power lines above him. I'm like, oh shit. Like thought he was so fucking witty.
In a parallel universe somewhere, yeah. I mean, Thanos used to ride around in a helicopter that said his name across the side of it. So we all got to start somewhere, right?
Well, and it was robbing a bank or Thanos, something. I feel like you could write your name anywhere. It's like, who the fuck's gonna tell you can't have your fucking name on your helicopter?
It was like he was robbing a bank. It's like in his eye, the ward, the like, bringer of death, Thanos, I've come for the money in the bank. And like, oh no, not you, Thanos. Like, it was just like, I guess this is before they had a I guess there's that point where like enough people like, how the fuck are we gonna rewrite this guy? Well, let's make him like a mass murderer who's in love with death. okay, we can work with that. You know, we should bring in the helicopter. Don't bring in the helicopter. No, don't do that. You know, so but like this version of him though, I can appreciate it. There's one little thing I think it's kind of a little bit of a lost opportunity. And this is granted, I know I'm retroactively writing a book that came out 20 years ago or 20 something years ago. I think that because Clark can kind of see, says like I can kind of see and hear everything still, but I couldn't do anything because I was weak. We see Luthor kind of look over and see his dad's on fire and burning. It can't help him. But part of me thinks like he should have seen like a distance, like the X-ray vision of him like grabbing like a flaming piece of log and just like going like AWOL on his dad, because it also got across his dad was abusive and would drink a lot. Like his dad was abusive and would drink a lot. So I honestly think there's like a lost up. And granted, I guess maybe you could have said the cops would have got it or found it, but I don't know. Maybe he's smart. He could have changed it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. Just add a little bit more emotion to that and so on there. Because really, that dad's just, in this book, he's just kind of there. He's just like, oh, fucking, he's out doing shit. Like, oh, whatever. I'm waiting until he makes $1 million. That's why I moved all the way out to Smallville from Metropolis on a fucking hunch. But, you know, my son's a fucking genius. He'll figure it out. Fucking idiot, but genius at the same time. It makes no fucking sense. Yeah, that's how I feel. But, too, I don't know. Fucking, you know, whatever.
This what it is, you know.
I feed him his Wheaties every day and hope for the best.
Yeah. Not like Jor-El, like, oh shit, it's contagious.
Fucking Pa Kent comes like waddling on over with a fucking like 6-pack in his hands, fucking veal hat on, fucking Jor-El.
Want to get some veal, Bo? Like, yeah, sure.
Sure, it's the only thing to do is we get veal. They allow us to fuck the cow beforehand. It's I guess what you do in the. Don't worry, son. You're 6 beers in by the time you do it, so it's all okay, you know. Yeah, I don't think that makes it better. Oh, it does.
You don't want to go through life like not getting laid, right? Like, yeah, I still don't think it makes it better. Like, yeah, well, I'm going to justify it however I can, you know. It's the can't. Don't worry, son.
I was in the Gulf War, and this is what they did overseas too, you know. So we saw it there, and we thought, like, shit, we've been missing out.
Well, when in Rome.
So, Mr. Luthor, what are you doing tonight? We'll let the kids stay here and play grab ass looking at the stars.
Taking turns with the telescope, whatever that means. Yeah.
You know what? Here. Let me put my finger up to this fucking telescope and go, fuck you, Jor-El! Fucking ass! Lex is like, what did your dad flipping off the stars for? Don't ask. Don't ask.
It's a long story. Don't.
But lo and behold, that leads us to, like, you know, to back to Metropolis and whatnot, and which this is another thing I will say, it's a little bit kind of goofy. Okay, because it's not like they just kind of knew each other. Like, you know, Clark's like, yeah, there was that weird guy that sat across from me in there and whatever. But like, they had like a lot of interaction as kids. I hate to sort of say it, but I feel like even like I know that like Lex kind of tries to separate himself, but you think that he would like really recognize Superman and Clark Kent like a lot easier just because he knew him back in the day. I always feel like the reason why he doesn't is because he doesn't have any knowledge of him, but like the fact that he truly does, and for the fact that, okay, now Clark, when he's at the Daily Planet, has put on this literally like brand new act. He's a completely different person. But Lex knew Clark before he was doing that act, when he was just, you know, your regular good old boy, you know, who wasn't kind of a bumbling fool and all that kind of stuff. So it feels like when he sees that Clark Kent act, he would know that something's totally up.
Well, I honestly think it's at that point where, like, I kind of see what you mean, but then again, like, and this is a different version of him, but a version that pulled from this book. I can see Lex Luthor being so in his own head and so hyper-focused. For him, like, I was friends with some yokel in Smallville for, like, part of a year. I don't even remember him. What the fuck's he gonna do? He's from Smallville, you know? He was too scared to, like, stay in the fucking barn. The day I made my biggest discovery, fuck him, I don't give a shit. So the idea that, like, he's already done so much and gone to so many places and done so many things and got this company up off the ground himself between here and there. He's probably met so many people. He doesn't have the time or the capacity to even think back on the kid. He would like, no, you know, want to see my telescope? Yeah, sure. You know, he probably doesn't even have the mental, like, he doesn't have enough people in his, like, enough room in his, like, storage for that.
Yeah, he's kind of erased that as time has gone on.
Yeah. Like, when I think back on it, like, shit, I can't, I mean, it'd be a bigger deal for him because it was his only friend. But there's a lot of people from, like, freshman year, like, what that guy look like? What that guy, you know what I mean? A lot of things from,
I always feel kind of bad because that happens to me all the time where, like, because, you know, they always say you can only really remember about 200 people. And so obviously every single time you meet somebody new, it erases somebody old in a sense in your mind, you know, and that does kind of happen. You'll be like, shit, I went to school with this person forever. And then you kind of go, God, I'm having a really fucking hard time placing what their name is and so on like that. You know, and I feel bad because especially the worst part's when everybody always remembers you. But then again, I guess if you always kind of like still have like a similar look and whoa,
come riding on a skateboard or whatever. Yeah, you know, I mean,
look at fucking like Encino Man or some shit. Still hanging out playing Nintendo.
Still playing Nintendo. Yeah. Lock up playing behind you or something like that. Yeah. No. I guess because you know we you know because whenever I go to town, there's always somebody that I see, and I know them, but I don't remember their name. You know, I mean, oh yeah, I went to high school with that guy, but I totally forgot that fucker's name. Or someone will recognize me. I'm like, bro, hi, and I have to go through the thing in my head. I'm like, is this a guy I worked with at a job a long time ago, or is this like someone I went to high school with, or was it both? You know, so it takes, you know, so it's just one of those things. Like for someone like Lex Luthor, even though like Clark was a significant part of his life for 1 year because of his only friend, but then again, he may have just been using Clark, not even because he wasn't even kind of like really engaging with Clark. He was just like, he's the one person who kind of like I can talk to, and he even still thinks he's kind of above Clark, even those conversations.
Yeah, he might have looked at him like potential lackey, maybe like, like almost like he was kind of grooming him and seeing where he could kind of go. Like, you know, he looks like a strong, strapping young lad. Maybe he could carry some stuff for me.
Exactly. And the minute he found out that like, oh, he's scared of green rocks, fuck you know, or you know, then he's just like, from there he's like, he gives him the boot. So he's erased from his mind because he's nothing. But then like there's that period where it shows Clark doing a good job, just keeping up, doing all the Superman stuff. Present day, and then there's this part that I really like, and it's really kind of a sad moment, but you feel for him. He's working late at the Daily Planet trying to get caught up on stuff, and it's someone's birthday, and so they all go out drinking that night, and everyone but like Jimmy and Lois kind of show up a little late, but everyone there is like talking shit on Clark and how boring he is, and how there's like, why did Perry even hire this guy? I mean, sure, he's a good writer, but I mean, there's plenty of good writers. Why is he bringing this guy? I cannot imagine this guy doing any of like going like pushing any of the boundaries or going to any of the dangerous places we go or to get our story. It's like, who the fuck is this clown? You know, and Lois is kind of like defending him like half-heartedly, you know. So it's just one of those things. Like then it cuts back to him like in the cafeteria of the Daily Planet after pulling along with a cup of coffee, pulling a long night, just being like, oh Jesus. And then right then is a couple of like attempts where Clark is trying to like save people from like things that Luthor set up, but things to make it look like he did the attack himself.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that is actually a good scene where everybody's just kind of talking shit on him and so on. Like that is like the new guy that no one really understands, and it's that thing showing that, you know, Clark is trying to once again figure out. Like it's almost like he's taken his secret identity too far, in a sense, and really pushed it where it's like, okay, now it's like, you know, yeah, make yourself different from Superman, but not so different that you've now ostracized yourself like Lex in fucking high school.
I didn't think of that comparison, but yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because it does make because he is like a guy who's trying his best, and he is also realizing because some of the points he's saving people, he's like, this has to be the same thing that Lex used on me before, because I'm saving people, but I'm also getting really weak and just either not being able to save them in time or just barely managing to save them at the last minute. And it's like people are saying like Lex Luthor is saying, I set this up. And I think this is actually even kind of relevant for today, because he's saying stuff like, Lex Luthor says Superman did this. Like, but Lex Luthor doesn't have any sources. He's probably lying. Like, well, it's Lex Luthor saying it, so that in itself is news. So run it.
Yeah, well, because this one is actually, it's funny because like sometimes you kind of forget like almost sometimes how long, but it's almost like this one really addresses, because there's a part where Lois Lane says that she's like, I hate to fucking say it, but I'm gonna say it because it's true, is that like the media fucking manipulates the shit out of people, and I say this as someone who works in it. She doesn't say shit and fuck. Let me just state that. Pulitzer Prize winning. But like she says that in there. She's like, yeah, the media is fucking, piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, you got to watch out for them and so on like that. And they're just gonna run with stuff, because that's pretty much what's going on. Is Lex Luthor sets up this like he builds that device again that blew his hair off. He's like, I'm gonna get fucking right this time, and he's able to like it's like the weirdest way. Like I almost will say like the way in the movies kind of seems a little bit more logical. It's like, okay, Lex found a way to break in, and then he steals fucking Superman's hard drives and whatnot, and breaks into him and so on. It's still a little bit of a stretch, but whatever. This one's like he used like that space telescope thingy to see back in time, which let him see all the Krypton or whatever the hell, and then he kind of was able to decipher the language, and or I don't think he deciphered the language necessarily, but he was able just to see all the images and kind of piece things together and so on.
I took it as, it sounds literally over the top, but I took it as he's able to see back in time, not because it's a time travel device. It takes so long to go there and like black hole shit that he's
the light's still coming kind of that way,
Yeah, like that's how I do want to say real quick. Going back to just the Lex Luthor's past for a second, I forgot to mention this. There's this image right here, just to show how alone Luthor was. There's this image of him just like walking through Smallville, like in a trench coat and like a turtleneck or whatever, and like everyone kind of looking at him like, look at this fucking guy, And there's like this old dude, this old black dude, and this old white dude in like a fedora. These dudes do not look like they hang out. They do not look like they vote for the same person. But they're sitting next to each other like, look at this motherfucker in the turtleneck. It's fucking August. What the fuck's this guy? This Steve Jobs looking motherfucker. Just
try to find it. What page is that on? I want to see what it looks
179.
like. 179. Where am I at?
The old guy's like, look at this fucking guy.
Oh, because I see. He's literally wearing like that trench coat from like that fucking Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. I see. It's like just like literally some black dude, and then like some guy straight out like 1934, and his like fucking like wife, Irish wife, like who the fuck is this guy? Get out of here, Sonny! You're making the Irish look bad. How about you shave that head?
God damn it.
And then there's old Lana Lang, who's just there for no reason at all. But
that's where he's talking about like, oh, I was the photographer for the football team and all that kind of stuff. And Luthor was selling like he was able to predict he was making some money by predicting like the Smallville's team's plays. So you go to the other coach and say, here's what they're going to do, and just do this, that, because football, it's not complicated. It's not complicated. Yeah. Not if you look Luthor. It's fucking child's play,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he does that, and like for a brief moment, people are like, "Oh, he's good at the betting. Let's take him to the horse races next. Maybe this Luthor boy has purpose."
This is part of that flashback area. And then right before, he even makes like I forgot to mention this. He makes a device. Like, I made a device that could check out that can that could find like extra like dimensional like particles or whatever. And it's going crazy on you right now. And Clark gets this look like, oh shit, which means it's fucking broken. And he starts like smashing the fucking thing.
You know, it's like, I think it's like that. He builds like a metal detector, and Clark's like, well, that's pretty badass. I got one of those at my house. We like to go look for old coins. And so he's like, it's not fucking a metal detector, man. It's made to look for other dimensional stuff. You know, he just like starts freaking out, smashing it.
Well, just the idea of like, how could someone as boring as you be from space? Yeah. But like, yeah, but no, then we get kind of like, you know, Superman still doing Superman shit while still trying to clear his name. He has the press against them, but he's still doing Superman shit. Meanwhile, Lois Lane is going around different criminals and trying to get as much information as she can, trying to figure out who's trying to smear Superman, because she still believes in him. So she's a little bit of a skeptic.
She's going around like interviewing these criminals, and it starts to get like darker and darker each place that she goes, and to the point that she's literally in this meth lab, and she's I feel like it's not really, I think it's more implied, but I almost want to say it's like they injected her with something, because she starts bleeding out of her nose and everything like that. And so
I took it she's got pistol whipped before, like, for during the interrogation.
Maybe that's what it was, because they said, we're like, oh, we're gonna put more of this stuff in you, and you're not gonna fucking come back from it. And then of course Superman busts through the wall. He's like, drugs are bad, kids. Blows the fucking place up. You're like, that's gonna go into the air now, Superman.
Not
no
my
meth
problem
for you today. Yeah.
It's okay, I'll blow it over to the next county. But like,
yeah.
But then
take
like
that, New Jersey.
But then like, there goes your next 5 Springsteen. Sorry, you know. No, then like at some point I like how he takes that, because that operation was on this like mobster's yacht, and he goes and drops that yacht right into a pool. So I thought that was kind of cool, in the mobster's pool. So but then after
literally a guy that looks like fucking Scarface from like a Scarface knockoff from Batman. They were like, yeah, the boss says he's gonna, you know, you better work with him, you know. Yeah, see.
I thought it was Scarface for a second. Like, oh, he's not a puppet.
I thought it was. It's like, oh yeah, there's no puppet. Yeah, he's just fucking free walking.
Yeah.
He's out became a real boy.
Hello, my darling. Hello, my darling. He's just like doing like a Muppet dance.
Dude,
I made a wish for the blue fairy, and she blew me. Ha ha. But like there enough evidence builds up, and he goes and sees Luthor, and that's where Luthor is the one to reveal he is like the because between here and there, Luthor took another stab at what you said, like that interdimensional telescope or space telescope that goes look into time, and he's able to gather all these images, basically a lot of stuff that Clark already can see but wasn't able to decipher the language, where Lex has deciphered the language, and now he like knows it's Kryptonian and all that. He's just like, yeah, I already have all the information. Krypton, all that. He's like, Krypton, what's a Krypton? Like, you don't fucking know. You don't know? And then he starts like just busting up laughing, like, you don't fucking know. Oh my god! And then he's
fucking
just like,
cans come strolling in, beer in hand. Fucking Jor-El! That's what I fucking thought. It's like, I know what a fucking Kryptonian is.
and he's just going off like,
Lex is like, please don't tell me that guy fucking deciphered it too. Yeah, you get a few beers in you, you can decipher anything.
Don't you know? No, that like he basically goes through and just like comes in, like just gives Superman all the exposition on the exploding planet, this and that. He's the only survivor, and he's utterly alone. He starts laughing. He's like, let me get my phone out. This is fucking funny. You know, takes a picture. So, and then that's from there, that point on, basically, like, I want to say Superman's big doomsday thing starts to happen, where this is also, they make a reference to Kevin Smith's Giant Spider right here, where he does have like a death squad mounted up with altered alien guns. I think that's a little bit of a lost opportunity. They could have called them Intergang. Maybe this was originally planned to continue on, but he gives them like altered weapons, and then there's other characters that are just like holograms. So using the imagery he has, he basically makes warships and all this stuff to make it look like like they'll have the Superman crest to make it look like they're attacking Metropolis. And this is like the big final battle where Superman's saving everybody and fighting off all these goons in Superman armor. But this is one of the things that really reminded me of the new movie, because how Lex Luthor turned the whole. Sorry, there's a fucking mosquito right here. I'm gonna get this motherfucker before he's.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, got you, bitch. Listen, another comes in.
What do you all know about death?
Not enough of them are dead. That's what I know. But like, I still don't give a shit. You know, I'd kill them all. You know, but no. But like, basically,
bringing in all the armor,
trying to turn the world against them, but at the same time also having those like, you know, soldiers that could fly and that like that crazy armor and shit. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it does kind of. The movie kind of uses, I feel like, a lot of these elements, kind of tones it down comparatively to how massive it feels in this one, but still has a lot of all those elements and so on. Even though in this one here, it's like there's like the robots that like Superman's battling, and then of course everything else is holograms and so on like that. But the average person in Metropolis has no idea what's going on, you know.
Yeah.
They just see this as, you know, Superman emblem showing up and just destroying it. And it's like, you know, Superman's literally been Superman for like, you know, like feels like a month, and then it's like his reputation's already getting fucking slandered like right off the bat.
And there's enough people. They have like a couple of vehicles, like a couple of like armored vehicles and whatnot, just trying to flat out kill people with Superman saving the day. And speaking through these filters, that sounds like it's Kryptonian, so people are all like freaking the fuck out. And then during this time, Jimmy goes out there and gets basically, while Superman is saving it, Lois goes after Lex Luthor to to like confront him and all that, and get more of the story and all the facts and his whole scheme, where Jimmy kind of gets the picture of Superman that kind of saves his reputation, where one of the giant like one of the giant war rigs has a giant S on it, comes off, and he grabs the S, picks it up while defending a kid. So
yeah, like fucking America. That's like one of the most badass pictures. Like I would love to have that. You're gonna say a poster?
Yeah, like a poster of that.
Yeah, that one's almost like too cool.
And then he basically just goes off. Like, this is also a period like where for a minute he was like, I'm done being Superman, I'm done being Clark Kent, I'm just going home, whatever. But then this shit happens. He's like, fuck that, and just kind of comes in.
Well, because there's like an email session when he's talking to his mom and whatnot, where he's kind of like, you know, I don't know, man, Mom, it's not really working out and so on like that. And then Pa Kent comes on there and he's like, hey, this is Pa. He's like, yeah, get back here. Fuck them people, Metropolis. You know what I mean? Like, shit. I'll go down the veal bar tomorrow. Like, you know, it'll be all better. You know, they can fucking handle their own shit. You know, they don't need you. You know what I mean? Think about it, son. Just come back here.
Let's go strangle a veal. Watch its eyes roll back.
You know, they call a baby goat a kid, and there's a reason why. You ever want to strangle a kid?
You can't strangle a kid. You can strangle a baby goat, though.
And it's called a kid, so it's like strangling a kid, but different.
Every time I do it, I do put it on I do make it wear your clothes, just so you know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, or I paint the name Lex across it, because that kid was a fucking cunt. Like, why did you even invite him over for dinner? He dipped his fingers in the mashed potatoes. I fucking saw it.
Then he exhaled really slowly. I don't know what the fuck that was about. He was wearing. He had your grandmother's like dinner, like antique dinner napkins on his lap when that happened. All right, we just threw that one out. You realize how hurt I was to throw away your grandma's antique dinner napkins out like that. I just didn't like. God damn it,
not even a perfect collection.
Yeah. Now we got 5 instead of 6. Who's gonna want 5?
That was my retirement fund.
6 people come over. We gotta say sorry. You get paper towels to someone. You're like, well, everyone else has one. Like, yeah, well, you know, Clark's friend came on it. While sticking his fingers in mashed potatoes.
And now I can't sell my dinner napkins on Antique Roadshow like I was planning to, because now it's not a complete set. Nobody wants that fucking shit. They don't want 5 out of 6.
Fucking hate that kid. Hope he's dead. Hope he died in that fucking bus. We know, Dad. We know.
Just saying. You know, so someone come back. Metropolis fucking sucks.
But at some point he does in that big battle. he gets zapped with some kryptonite rays and goes down. And I always like these moments where the people rally for Superman, and no, he's down, even though he just saved a bunch of people. He's down for the moment. A bunch of people, led by Jimmy, get up. He's like, back off. He's with us. And I do want to say, they all look like, okay, there's an old lady who has, like, I don't know what she has, like knitter things. There's some dude with a pipe. There's a dude with an axe. Okay, I can see that. There's some dude out of fucking Jumanji with an old-timey rifle. Like, where the fuck did this guy come from? I wonder if he's like a throwback to like an old character or something, but it just like
that one's fucking, yeah, because it's like yeah, there he is right there, and then you got the old lady with the saggy tits, and fucking Jimmy Olsen looks like he's ready to like murder.
This looks like a panel of like Walking Dead or some shit right here, but
yeah, it just
happens to be a Superman thing behind him. Someone's holding a katana in the back.
Yeah, exactly. Just just like, boy, Metropolis is pretty well armed. That's all I've learned.
Yeah, and like, but no, I like the I just thought the guy with the old timey guy with the gun was just like, what the fuck's he doing there? Well, whatever, he's there.
He's coming to hunt down Robert Williams.
Somebody. He already shot somebody. Oh yeah, he shot the guy with the spang. Yeah, we see he shot the guy with the helmet. So yeah, but no, then between Lois and Clark, I want to say they stop Lex Luthor now. And it's just within like Superman going in to save Lois and coming in to stop Luthor, that's where he gets to look through the telescope thing. He gets to send a message to his parents. Like, he sees his parents, he's able to just recognize them, be like, Mom, Dad, I made it. And I think that's a beautiful way to end the book right there, where they get to see that and they kiss and the planet blows up.
Yeah, so it's just like, with the time travel or whatever you want to say, light travel, he's able to do that, which is it is kind of a cool like wraparound thing and so on like that, which makes for just a solid, just like full arc to come together. Pa can't come by. I got a message for you, Jor-El. Fuck you.
Credits and then like Thin Lizzy plays. Like, freeze frame. Like,
I am just a cowboy.
Like freeze frame, like most unflattering frame, like lips being like like freeze frame on that.
Beer in the other hand. It's like splashing out a little bit and so on.
Just be like, wow. I mean, I was really enjoying the movie, but that ending, I don't know where that freeze frame came from.
The credits just roll over that, like it leaves that same shot on the whole time. The fucking Thin Lizzy's cowboy songs playing. Roll me over and turn me around.
Wow, Snyder really went in a direction no one was expecting with that.
Just love that. Like, it's like this. It's just really nice message. And Pa comes in. Yeah, I got a fucking message for you. Been waiting a long fucking time to say this shit.
No, this is here's an interesting thing. I heard mixed things. So when I was listening to that podcast, Digging for Kryptonite, and they interviewed Mark Waid, I heard conflicting things. Not from that podcast. I heard the podcast, and then I did some reading on Wikipedia. I'm like, well, what's true? Did Mark Waid not get the memo, or is Wikipedia just untrustworthy in this case? This book was originally made, according to Mark Waid, this book was made with the intention of being the new origin of Superman, kind of erasing John Burns' stuff he did in the 80s and making this the new updated version for his for Superman, right?
Kind of like the new Man of Steel book, because I think that the John Burns one is the Man of Steel, like reboot in a sense,
covering Man of Steel basically, and then moving forward from there. But then, like, the book didn't do as well, or like it got good critical reviews, but it didn't really set the world on fire. So then they got Jeff Johns do Secret Origin, which I never read. And this book just became what was going to be a new launching off point for Superman. Just became like, isn't this a fun little like what if kind of side story or what if like non-canon story. But then I go on Wikipedia, it says this was canon for that time. So I don't know. Maybe he didn't get the memo, or maybe they changed it since that episode came out. Who knows? But I don't know why they would speak on it now, especially since DC's already been rebooted like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it might have been for a moment, and then it was just kind of that. And I will say, though, that, like, Superman kind of had a hard time in the late 90s and early 2000s. Like, that was the time period that he wasn't... That was where everybody's like, oh, what makes Superman so good? He's just like a cheater character, you know? He's just OP and all this stuff, like, boo-boo-da-boo. You know, his movies aren't any good. He has no good villains. I just remember there used to be a lot of Superman hate for a while there. And then especially when Superman Returns came out, it kind of gave him, like, feel like, see, I told you Superman wasn't that great of a superhero. He's just, like, too old-fashioned.
Well, Superman, even though I just like Superman Returns. I don't love it. So here's the funny thing about Superman Returns. When that movie first came out, I was kind of like, whatever about this movie. I thought it was kind of too slow and boring. And then I saw it again later, and I'm like, actually, I like this movie. I'm not like in love with it, but I like it. And then like more time came by, and I'm like, I like it, but I just like it. You know, just I'm not even really all that defending because it is kind of like. It very much comes from someone who just likes Richard Donner Superman and has no interest in the comics. And for how long it's been for a Superman movie by that point, I'm like, you guys could have expanded on something rather than just giving like, hey, do you guys like Richard Donner? We like Richard Donner. Yeah, of course, everyone likes Richard fucking Donner. Let's fucking move on. And I think that's why I liked Man of Steel more than that one. But at the same time, even though the new one pulls from Richard Donner a lot, obviously, it pulls from so many other things. So,
well, it adds a lot more, and I think that's what kind of works. Like that's kind of what Superman Returns is. Like I enjoyed it when it came out and everything like that, and I enjoy it for just what it is. It's like one of those ones. Like if that's all it is, okay, whatever. But like what it needed was just like keep all that Richard Donner-ness. That's fine, but throw in some new villains. That's really all you needed to do. You know. More than just, you know, old Lex Luthor. No, I'm wrong. Love Lex Luthor, but he's one of those ones where it's like Superman's got other people he can punch. You know what I mean? Like throw some other guys in there and make Superman throw a punch too.
Yeah, well, it was also
you don't want Lex Luthor throwing more punches than Superman.
I want to say that one they were going to have like I think I heard Metallo was going to be in the next one, and they're going to incorporate like his son, his super son in that somehow. But like at the same time, like. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I like it fine, but at the same time, it also feels kind of like a shallow.
Yeah.
Like there's some moments in it that feel like this should be a big deal. Like the part where he's saying can't remember Marlon Brando speech to his own son. That feels like it should be a big deal. But the thing is, like, okay, first off, I mean. The logic of like, okay, you guys can't have a kid or can't have sex or whatever unless you become human in this version. So how'd this happen? You know, there's all these things that like they didn't really take time to explain. So and plus, like maybe this is technically Superman 5. Maybe it's technically not Superman 3. Maybe it's technically 5, and they did hook up between here and there. I don't know, but at the same time, like, oh, okay, whatever. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that's just like, the fuck's going on?
Yeah, no, there definitely is. I'm not saying, it's definitely not a perfect Superman movie. I don't even know where it really ranked, but yeah, I don't dislike it, but yeah, it's one of those ones. It should have just did a little bit more, especially in a time period where Superman kind of needed a little bit more of a hype man to help it out. That movie wasn't helping the cause. That movie kind of reinforced it, like to the average viewer, that like Superman's kind of boring. You know what I mean? Like, because it was just too old timey. Like, you know what I mean? When they really need to show some of the shit from the comic books, be like, dude, Superman's a fucking badass. Don't you fucking dare say shit. You know? Yeah. That movie kind of fucked it up in a sense. Kind of reminds me of the same way that like Nintendo did with like when they put out fucking Wind Waker and so on like that. And that was like, dude, Nintendo, you're not gonna help this argument I'm gonna have at school of trying to tell you how great Nintendo is and how actually adult it is. And then you fucking put this shit out here. Like everybody playing Splinter Cell and Halo is not gonna buy this argument anymore. It is totally lost.
And then like they like get down to knee level with you like you're a little child and like, yeah, but like trust me, in 10 years, maybe even 20 years, this will be one of your favorite Zelda games. What about right now?
You're not helping the cause, damn it.
Do you realize I gotta go out and defend you right now? I'm not thinking long term. I'm a child. I'm thinking next 5 minutes at most.
I'm on the ground level at the front lines working for you, Nintendo.
Unpaid.
In the trenches, damn it. And this is what you give me to fight back with?
Yes, it is, and you're gonna fucking like it, or you're gonna get the back of my fucking hand. What do you think about that? Like, oh shit, okay, get the fuck back, get the fuck back. Oh, okay, Nintendo, cool.
Fucking like Howard Lincoln, like on the phone. It's Nintendo America, so we tell you what the fuck to do. I answer to the big N and back in Japan, so you listen to me now. Now get your fucking wallet out and buy it. Go pre-order that one. You know what you want? You know you want that fucking Ocarina of Time with the Master Quest thing in there. I know you fucking do.
Don't fuck with me. Do not fuck with me. There's always something threatening about, like, it's always someone who's obviously mentally unstable. But the thing when they're like, someone saying like, "Don't fuck with me," but they're smiling and they got like big white eyes. Don't fuck with me, man. Like they're like, I don't know. I think I saw that more in San Francisco, but you know, like that's you get that kind of vibe sometimes. Like there was a guy I worked with who was actually, he wasn't mentally unstable. He was a really cool guy, but like he was like, one time there was a homeless dude that was fucking with him too much and he just had a bad day. He's like, "Hey man, I'm trying to work here. If you can just give me some space, you know." And this the homeless guy kept on just trying to fuck with him and this and that. And he just reaches, "You want to go, man? You want to go? Don't fuck with me." He's like big smile, like, "You want to fuck with me? We'll fucking find out right now," you know. And like
Want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Yeah, it was a little bit of that. It's like that kind of.
Yes,
the homeless dude backed off. He backed off on that guy. So it was one of those guys like you're kind of scared to see this guy mad. Like this is him mad. He has the same facial expression. That makes it like more threatening. Wow.
Exactly. Oh man.
Superman, right?
Superman, yeah, but no. I think Birthright. I think this is a fun story. I think it's a good, interesting like take on both Superman and especially Lex Luthor and so on. It is a good gateway book, I think, as well too. It's one of those ones like if you wanted like a nice like, hey, let's learn about Superman but not be too overwhelmed with stuff. Here you go. You know, I see how it can kind of get lost though as time has gone on. You know, because it's one of those ones that you could see there being a point too, like where I even just feel like if you're at this, you know, a certain point where you've read quite a bit of Superman stuff, and then you kind of got to this one a little bit late, but not so late that you can kind of take another stuff and you go, it's just another Superman Lex Luthor story. I don't know what's so fucking interesting about it, you know. I could see some people doing that too. It's like it doesn't have enough characters in it or something.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't like an early point of comics for me, but it wasn't like it was like my first couple of years of being into comics, I'd say, which at the time I felt like I was pretty. Ironically, my first Superman book wasn't proper Superman. My first Superman book was Superman, Batman, Public Enemies. So that was kind of like where I got my Superman fix with Batman in there. But then I was like, you know what? I like Superman enough. Let me check out some of his other stuff. And I think this may have been the first Superman book I bought. This or Death of Superman, one or the other. And yeah. No, this one was really good book. I really like it. And yeah, it's been a while since I've read it, and I remember this being pretty good. And under better circumstances now, maybe I'll enjoy it more now. So not reading it by candlelight, you know, trying to avoid blackout sounds like I'm a old man in the mansion by himself, you know, in like the furthest room possible, you know. So
yeah, so you got the better experience and so on, the proper environment to read it in. But yeah, no, it's definitely worth going checking out. I see you can pick it up on Amazon for like next to nothing, which is kind of cool, or it's on Comixology Unlimited, so there's no fucking excuse. But yeah, Superman Birthright, I enjoyed it. Just been in that Superman mood as well too, just from the movie. It's just a good time for fucking superhero stuff. I think we're on a definite path forward and a definite up and up. I just can't wait for all kinds of other things to come out. But yeah, beyond all that good stuff, check out Old Man Orange Podcast on YouTube and Spotify. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we'll see you some other time.